Welcome to episode 1 following the MLB lockout. What does that mean for baseball? Who knows? We've got a commissioner who says that this is bad for baseball. No duh, Sherlock. We got players that are blocking themselves out. But is it really players blocking themselves out? Or is it really MLB? We'll talk about this and more on this edition of the Locked On Astros podcast.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chancey.
We are Locked On Houston Astros, and we hope that you join us for a daily Locked On Astros podcast. You can find the show at Locked On Astros. You can find me at Eric Talkstros, and you can find a guy hiding behind his hands for some reason. Brett, where can they find you at?
Well, they can find me at H-Town Wheelhouse on Twitter and Instagram. They can find me at Stros411 on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Always positive. Always Stros. No, I'm here. I'm just trying to be solidarity for the players, hiding my face.
Yeah, it's very distracting. So, guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day, whether it's on YouTube and you can see Brett doing that, covering his face or whatever. You keep on subscribing, keep on liking us, whether it's on your way to work, whether you listen to us on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast, keep on listening to Locked On Astros podcast. So I know that we had Sean Pendergast on the last time, and we've kind of, I know it's been a few days since we've talked about this, but the lockout has happened, and it feels like after the purge, a lot has happened since then, and a lot of even Trevor Bauer has come out and said, "Ha, you can't find me now," and like he just needs to go away.
Yes, I agree. Yeah,
but what's going on here is I don't want to dwell too much on the players' images not being used. That actually makes a lot of sense to me because there's no license currently right now by baseball because there's no a contractual agreement. So they are technically all not under contract, so to speak, in a way. So I can understand why baseball said, hey, we got to take all their images down. It's just kind of funny how the players are taking it. Well, let me go, and like Ryan Stanek was one he put on there. Hey, it felt cute, maybe delete later or something. So yeah, there's a lot of mistrust on both sides, and it doesn't help when the guy who's supposed to be the for both sides, Commissioner Rob Manfred comes out and says, hey, yeah, this is a bad look for baseball. Duh, guess what? You're the reason why this is happening. You are on the team owners. You're supposed to be kind of on the same league for the players. You're supposed to be avoiding this. This is the first work stoppage in 26 years. And guess what? It happened under your watch.
So Rob Manfred is in the position he's in because before he was commissioner, he has been a part of helping the owners gain more revenue. And that's why he's the commissioner. He is supposed to be this unbiased, I'm here for everybody. But we all know that the owners have them there because they're making more money than they've ever made. Now, 2020 and 2021, maybe they're still recouping losses. But I would like us to play Rob Manfred's kind of opening statement about what he thinks the lockout is for baseball, whether it's good or bad. So we're going to listen to what he has to say.
I'm not going to say much on the substance at the table. Suffice it to say that the Players Association, as is their right, made an aggressive set of proposals in May, and they have refused to budge from the core of those proposals. Things like a shortened reserve period, $100 million reduction in revenue sharing, and salary arbitration for the whole two-year class are bad for the sport, bad for the fans, and bad for competitive balance.
Okay. So what else Whose fault is it then? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, I think right now there's going to be a lot of blame. He said, she said. There's going to be a lot of um, pointing fingers. When your mom taught you growing up, when you're pointing one finger at someone, you're pointing three right back at you. The bottom line is this: both sides have things they want, and both sides have things they don't want to give up. And unfortunately, those things overlap quite a bit. And so that's why they did not just continue where they agreed and they moved on. And it comes down to a lot of things like revenue sharing, Eric. It comes down to free agency, money that players feel like they're owed earlier in their career, a lot of things. And we'll break that down here in a second. But Rob Manfred is definitely the villain role in this. No matter who you talk to in the baseball world, he is kind of the bad guy.
Yeah, and I think that overall it's a sense of like, okay, what's going on here? How long is this going to go? There's a sense of, I guess, he seems to be saying like he seems to be getting, or I guess there's a sense that it's not going to affect the baseball season, but at the same time, who knows? Who knows what's really going to happen? Is there going to be delayed season? And we're going to talk more about Lance McCullers' interview tomorrow. But one of the things that he did talk about was that his throwing program, that he normally goes to the baseball field to practice. He works with the trainers during the off season because he lives here. And this is going to kind of mess up his off season routine because he's not allowed to go train at Minute Maid Park because the team is not really, I mean, it's his employer, but it's just they don't have this agreement right now, the CBA, the collective bargaining agreement, and Manfred could have just gone ahead and done an extension, said, hey, we're close to agreement. We're going to go in and extend it. That way we can go ahead and work on trying to come to agreement. But it just seems like there was no momentum. And he even said this. He said that we worked hard to find a compromise. This is Manfred, while making the systems even better for players, while addressing concerns by Players Association. We offered to establish a minimum payroll for all clubs to meet for the first time in baseball history to allow majority of players to reach free agencies earlier through the age-based system that would eliminate any claims of service time. I think you mentioned that earlier. Increased compensation for all young players, including increases in minimum salary. When negotiations lacked momentum, we tried to create some offering to accept the universal DH, to create a new draft system using lottery system similar to other leagues, and to increase the CBT tax threshold that affects only a small number of teams. So we had all these challenges, and we tried to budge on this and try to give in, but the players were they're too greedy, and they want this. And here's what's going on is the teams are getting all this going on. They're getting all this revenue, and the players' salaries are here. So you have the revenue and here. Yes, you have the Max Scherzers of the world that are getting this revenue, but then you have what's a Astros player? Give me
Alex
some random.
Bregman.
No. Somebody who's not getting money.
Yordan Alvarez.
Yeah, Alvarez, but he's going to make some money. Just somebody. Why can't I think of Average Joe on the team right now?
I don't know.
Just somebody.
It's okay. It's okay. Just go ahead. Average player. Go ahead.
Yeah, this average player who's making league minimum. They want that league minimum raised. They want the arbitration year kicked up a little bit. And so that's what they're doing. And the free agency to be kicked up at the 29.5 or something. So the players want one thing, the owners want something else. And there's no way that they're going to come up with that happy medium. And it's frustrating. And it makes me just want to go watch something else like on DirecTV.
Okay, well, DirecTV, does this sound familiar? You've got one device that lets you catch the game live, another that lets you stream your favorite shows. You watch the sports highlights on your phone, and you've got your neighbor's best friends log in for the good stuff. Well, I want to tell you about a simple way to get all your entertainment you love without the hassle, and a great way to finally get your TV together. It's called DirecTV Stream, and it brings your live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before. so you can watch your favorite sports movies and shows all in one place. That means no more juggling remotes and no need to buy another device ever again. And the best part is there's no annual contract. So get rid of the clutter and the confusion and get your TV together with DirecTV Stream. You can learn more at directv.com. That's directv.com. Compatible device required. Contents vary by package. Now, with what you're talking about, there are a lot of things to really work through. One thing that I'll hit on later, one of the things is when players are rehabbing or have injuries, they don't have access to team doctors. They have to go out and find their own. They have to get their own routine. The teams aren't footing the bill. But one of the things I like, there are a couple different sources out there that are available for people to look at. And our good friend Larry, the GM, did a really good job breaking down some things. And he actually has a 2-part article, one called The Fixes and one called The Solutions. In The Fixes, he basically says this, and I'll just summarize these real quick. The players seek a current framework as sound with some tweaks, including wanting rules that allow them to enter free agency earlier. I agree with that. Wanting the league to address tanking clubs that slash salaries. That's huge because that hurts players. Wanting to eliminate service time manipulations that causes teams to gain an additional year of control. George Springer. Wanting to increase the minimum salary. I see that. The owners, okay, seen as winners in at least the previous 2 deals, they seem to be proposing some fundamental changes, wanting more solid and lowered luxury tax cap from 210 to 180 with higher penalties for violating it, which is interesting. Proposing a salary floor at 100 million. That would knock a lot of teams out because they would have to get above that, right? The Rays, the Royals, the Orioles, so on and so on. Wanting to eliminate service time for determining when a player would reach free agency. Instead, everyone would reach free agency after 29 and a half years. Remember, a player is considered in decline when they get to about age 30. Proposing to eliminate the arbitration system and replace it with a pool system and a fixed amount within 3 years of service time. And proposing, Eric, you mentioned this before, a war-based system to establish arbitration compensation. Now, here's the challenges. The players want greater freedom and access to negotiate salaries before aging past their athletic peak. They want a healthy marketplace where most, if not all, teams are active. And the owners want security and predictability and cost to ensure healthy profits. They want to reduce financial risk by paying for only for performance without long-term commitment. So let me say this. That is succinctly wrapped up, and that helps me wrap my mind around all these details, Eric. And the bottom line is this. The players want access to their free agent contracts sooner. They want access to that. They want to become a free agent sooner. Manfred's immediate point in his press conference was this. It's bad for the game for players, and it's bad for fan bases for players to leave earlier than they leave. And then the counterpoint to that is no, it actually forces owners. And I want to know, Eric, if you agree with this. I think it forces owners to pony up and pay players what they're actually worth. And I don't think that's bad for the game. Now, the bottom line of the reality is, boys and girls, as much as we love baseball, and as much as you think billionaires are all swimming in money, someone may not have $1 billion in assets. They're very, very rich. But it is a business at the end of the day. And you're in business to make money, not give it away. So that is a harsh reality that as a baseball fan, you have to realize. And I notice a lot of people talking about this have never had $1 million or $1 billion companies. But Eric, what do you think? Do you think it holds the owners more accountable to have to pay players what they're worth sooner if they get released earlier in free agency?
I mean, I think it would be. I mean, if it's fair for every team, I guess I would guess so. I mean, that's what the owners don't want to do. So
because they're going to have to put out more money.
Yeah,
but I mean,
Springer is like somebody brought up Springer as the average Joe. He's not the average Joe. Chas McCormick would be a good example of the average Joe who's probably not going to get paid as much. And what the Players Association is looking for is to get Chas McCormick to get paid a little bit more. But Springer would be a perfect example of also who they're trying to help. Springer got held back an extra year of team control, and Alvarez is another one who got held back, who's going to get held back from reaching the arbitration year, but because he didn't qualify for that Super 2 year. So I know the Players Association would like to get rid of that Super 2 rule, but that's something that they probably can't beat. But this is what Manfred had to say about having a strike. And I mean, the reason why they did the lockout versus just playing the season without a new CBA. So he said, if you play without an agreement, you're vulnerable to a strike at any point in time. That's what happened in 1994. They went on the goodwill that, hey, we're going to play without this, but we just hope we're going to do this on goodwill. And the players just like, yeah, we're not any close to agreement. And then they went on strike. And we remember that year Bagwell broke his hand, and then the Astros were probably going to be really, really good, that team, but the season was canceled. So I don't think that Manfred wants to put it back in the hands of the players. So that's why the owners decided to go on this lockout. They probably feel confident that they're going to work out something before February, but guys, it's going to be a long time before they actually work this out.
So here is a flaw, and I'm not doing this to pick on Samuel, but Samuel brings up something that I think I see a lot of fans say, and I'm going to try to help him understand why maybe what he's thinking isn't the best route. He says this: let's go Mets. If this team doesn't make moves after the lockout, I'm going to become a Mets fan. They're the new best team in New York. Fact, Samuel. Steve Cohen is 3 times richer than the second richest owner in Major League Baseball. He's worth an estimated $18 billion. Steve Cohen could buy the New York Mets and the New York Yankees and still be swimming in money. Most owners aren't making $18 billion. So go be a Mets fan. But I promise you, championships are won through the farm system. They're not bought. Look at the teams that have succeeded in the most recent history of Major League Baseball. And what have the Astros done? They have sustained success through the farm system. You get an owner like Jim Crane who knows what he's doing, who puts the people in the right places, who signs the right international players. Tell me a single Cuban prospect that the Mets have brought up that's been successful. Tell me what Francisco Lindor did when he fleeced the Mets for paying 10 years, $345 million. So go be a Mets fan. You got to understand the economics of the situation. Not every owner has $18 billion. And yes, they are billionaires, but it's not all liquid assets. It's what they are worth. The bottom line is this: the owners are going to have to come off this a little bit because the revenue sharing, as laid out by Larry the GM, has gone down for the players. The players want a bigger piece of the pie. The owners don't want to give it up. The players want more money and more rewards for what they do at a younger age, so they get more. The owners don't want to do it. So that's someone's going to have to give. Actually, both sides, Eric, are going to have to give if we get anywhere on this.
Yeah, and as Jay Roberts says, they're still paying Bobby Bonilla. I think there's a Bobby
Bonilla
Bonilla
until like 2035, I think.
Yeah, so every year they pay him $1 million. I forgot what day it was, but every year it's Bobby Bonilla Day. They have to pay him $1 million. So here's what Manfred's saying. He's saying that the lockout will be helpful in bringing the negotiations to a conclusion. Everything will be great. And then Clark says that the players consider it unnecessary and provocative. Provocative, yes.
There you go.
So both sides can't even agree on what the lockout will do. So how will they agree on the CBA? It's just like, it's crazy. So what's going to happen? Like, it's crazy. I mean,
well, here's the thing, Eric.
Like you said about the shortened season, that didn't help. The owners are still in the red technically from that. I know that Jim Crane and the Astros, from going to the playoffs for so many years, they're probably not in the red, but you have all these other teams that are probably in the red. And so then you
So
have the
get
teams like
this.
the Pirates there's no, I saw this on, I think it was in Crawford's boxes, the thread. There's small market teams,
Mhm.
but they still make some money. The Pirates, they still make a lot of money, but then they just don't go out and spend a lot of money. So if you make those teams spend a little bit more money, then you can have more competition. So that's why I really like the idea of having that floor.
So here's the problem. Small market teams seem to be following the lead of what like the Astros and the Rays have done. Okay. A small market team will basically oscillate, and I'm not quoting directly, but I'm kind of putting air quotes around this from Larry the GM's kind of summary of this. Basically, they oscillate or fluctuate between competitive run and pulling back costs. Remember what the Astros did when they basically sold the team? They did the yard sell. You know, we had the 100-loss season, and what happened? We were able to build our system. This leads to several teams not spending even half of the CBT and not engaging in free agency. In other words, teams not even trying to put a competitive team on the field, Eric. Another thing, if a player right now hits free agent or hits the major leagues between 23 and 24, they don't hit free agency until 28 or I'm sorry, between year 29 and year 30, where they're already kind of getting to their peak, right? And so this is what's happened in free agency. Listen to the length of contract percentages. 1-year contracts make up 44% of free agent contracts. 2/3 of all contracts are 3 years or less. Less than 10% of the 327 contracts are for 7 or more years. And the reason is because these players aren't becoming free agents until they're too old to be free agents. Do you see what I'm saying? And that to me is a problem. Why would you not want your players? Well, I mean, why are we locking them into? It's not just 5 or 6 years, Eric, because it's what, 4 or 5 years in the minors and then 5 or 6 years in the majors. That's almost a 10-year professional career before you're even able to really test the market. And you don't pay on what a player's done. You pay a player on what they're going to do.
Right.
And if they're going to do that, then you know what? You bet you might as well pay a whole heck of a lot more when they're in the minor league system. Those bonuses need to go through the roof. You know, I mean, hey, the Astros wasted what, almost $4 million on Fritas Nova. He's gone. He's gone. You know, maybe if you didn't have a 5 or 6 year wait to see if this guy was going to pan out, you wouldn't have to spend as much at the front end, because then you'd be like, okay, after year 3, he's going to be free agent. After year 4, he's going to be a free agent. I just think baseball's got a real problem on its hand. The bottom line is that they have a marketing issue. They can't get along. It's millionaires and billionaires fighting. But at the end of the day, you can't blame the players, because if you were in their shoes, you'd be demanding the same things.
I thought that he really leave? I thought that Nova was
No,
just okay.
he is no longer with the Astros.
Okay. Alrighty.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So anyway, moving on. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about Built Bar.
Hey, there you go. You know what? I was able to wrap those articles up because I had a Built Bar before the show. Okay, here's the deal. It's a holiday season. Grab the protein bar that tastes like a candy bar, or even better than a candy bar. It's a Built Bar filled with so much holiday goodness, rich with decadent flavor, covered in chocolate, but amazingly low in calories, sugar, net carbs, and fat, and high in protein. You get the best of both worlds, delicious and healthy. So many flavors, you'll find a hard time choosing. Will you have raspberry or mint brownie, cherry or double chocolate, cookies and cream, or peanut butter brownie? The sky's the limit. Grab a Built Bar. It gives you extra fuel you need to bust down those mall doors and battle the holiday shoppers. Instead of just standing in an endless shopping line and losing all your energy, bring a Built Bar with you, because 'tis a season of peace and love, okay? You're friends with Santa, you say? Well, tell Santa to throw Built Bars under the tree or in the stockings for your kids. That's right. Dip your Built Bar into a piping hot cup of hot cocoa and and let it melt a little and give your beverage just a little bit of Built Bar flavor. Plus, you'll have to have a nice melty Built Bar to go with it. That's right. So the offer right now is Locked15. That's LOCKED 15 for 50% off your order. Go to built.com, the best bar in the biz.
Alrighty, guys. Thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. Whether it's on YouTube, keep on subscribing, keep on liking, and keep on listening to us on your way home to work or on your way back to work, home from work, or whatever you want to do. So, Freddie's Nova is still in the Astros organization. He was outrighted off the 40-man roster.
Okay.
He was assigned to AAA Sugarland. So he
Oh,
is
he
still,
was. Oh,
yes.
he was assigned. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. He was okay when he was outrighted. I didn't hear what happened afterwards.
Right.
But here's the deal, Eric. I don't know that they have a future for him. I mean, they
he's
spent
still
a
in a
huge signing bonus on him. But
yeah,
he's still with them.
young. Yeah, he's still young. He is what? He's only 21 years old. He's got time to develop. I mean, he's not going to make his big league debut anytime soon. He was signed at the age of 17. He is now 21 years old. So he wasn't going to come that up this year, maybe even next year. So there's no reason for him to be on the 40-man roster. So that made sense, and nobody was going to draft him in the Rule 5 draft because he's so young. So I just think that they freaked out and added him to the 40-man roster, and then they're like, okay, wait, nobody's really going to claim him. So we'll take. But
hey, thank you for correcting me on that. I guess I didn't follow the story whenever I heard about that, so I thought he was all but gone. Thank you, Eric.
Yeah, that's why I was like, wait, he's not gone, but it's fine. So yeah, but I know it's a bad look for baseball, but I think that, here we are arguing for gajillionaire owners and then millionaire players to just
but here's the reality. Look at this comment. The lockout, like I mentioned earlier, thank you, Mr. Richard, it makes it harder for LMJ for Jake Myers to fulfill their rehab process as they should before the season. And they have access to doctors. They can find somebody, but the team has a system. The team has a regimen. The team has a routine that you go through medically. And that was like, when I first heard about that, Eric, I was like, I didn't think about that aspect of it. Like, all you think about are the healthy players. And it's just one of those things where you're just like, you just hope that this doesn't go beyond the first day of spring training. You hope that they get this short up before spring training starts so they can have a full season. Baseball cannot handle another shortened season.
Yeah, and Johnny asks, when is the Rule 5 draft? I know it's not going to be in December. It's not going to be until the owners and the players agree on a new CBA. So the winter meetings are gone. The Rule 5 draft is gone. Anything that happens between now and then is done. Justin Verlander has not officially signed his deal. Lance McCullers was asked. He was at the captain.
He was the captain of the Houston Texans today.
Yeah. And so he was asked about that, and he said, no, I'm not worried about it. It wasn't official, but as soon as they reach an agreement, he'll come in and sign. We're happy to have him back, a future Hall of Famer. And so if McCullers is not worried about it, we shouldn't be worried about it. I know John Heyman and all the people are like, this is interesting. Why was he not signed ahead of time? And
there had to be something come up. Sorry to interrupt you. There had to be something that came up, maybe in the physical, that they're still looking at or re-examining. I know Brandon, who used to do Talking Stros with you, has speculated that maybe there's something that came up. But from all indications, from Ben Verlander, from Lance McCullers, everyone that's talked about it publicly, there doesn't seem to be any concern there. So I'm not mentioning that because there's legitimate concern. That's just what I had seen speculated throughout. And so he'll get a deal signed. He's not going anywhere else. He'll be here.
Maybe he was on vacation and he couldn't get out. He
he's
can do
actually
that.
he's actually in Portugal, I
Yeah.
believe, is where he's at. So that may be a little difficult to sign a contract for 50 or $25 million when you're overseas.
Well, I know you have document sign where you can just
Yeah.
send him a thing and say, "Hey, Justin, could you go ahead and sign here?" And every time you see the highlighted spot, can you go ahead and sign your name? I don't think that's how Jim Crane works, though. It's for a $50 million deal or 25, possibly $50 million deal. He's going to want him in person, and they want to do the photo shoot and everything. So I think that there's a couple reasons why it wasn't done. Maybe there's something wrong with that. But I think Justin wanted to know where he was going. Maybe the Astros didn't have a roster spot available at the time, and so they just wanted to have a handshake deal. My word is strong as oak from Jerry Maguire.
There
Uh,
you go.
so,
Yeah,
something
I
like
don't
that.
think he's. Yeah, I don't think Justin Verlander compares to Cush Senior from Jerry Maguire. But that is actually an excellent sports movie reference. Eric, give you 1 point tonight. You're beating me 1-0. That was a genius play there. Excellent job. You went like analytics on that. That was great, dude. But here's the thing. Someone said I don't like the player option year for JV. Here's what I think might happen is if Justin Verlander comes out and he pitches balls to the wall and he has another Cy Young type season and
It'd be great.
he performs over expectation, he could always, after that first year, someone could go say, hey, you want to come over here? We'll give you 33 for 1 year. And he could maybe not return to the Astros because he goes somewhere else for more money. So that $25 million, he has to accept it. And if he pitches his butt off, he may get offered a higher salary where the Astros wouldn't be on the hook. And I wouldn't be too busted up about that just because of the age there. But heck, if Justin Verlander is pitching his butt off and he does still have a lot left in the tank, why wouldn't you want to get him at 25? Because you saw what freaking Max Scherzer signed for. You don't want to have to go pay $43 million to get a pitcher like that, a veteran like that. And so, yeah,
Were those legit? I saw
yeah,
that.
I
I
don't
thought that
know.
was a fake comment.
Yeah, let's do this. Let's do some research and let's do as little talking about Tyler as we have to on the show because I absolutely don't want to give that guy any publicity. He doesn't deserve it. He doesn't
Yeah.
deserve the money he was paid.
I think I saw
before
what
anything
Jay was
happened.
referring to, but I think that
Yeah,
was
I don't
by
even know.
Porch Sports, and I think that's a
Yeah,
made up site,
yeah.
by the way.
If it's a New York Porch instead of Post, yeah, that is probably satire at
Yes.
best.
It
Let's
was
see.
hilarious, though, if that's what you're talking about, Jay. But I think that was, yeah. Jay says point taken. So,
Yeah, and the question is, can he listen to offers before declining the player option?
no,
He
I don't.
can't. But what I'm saying is, if there's a mark, okay, this is what I'm saying. If Justin Verlander has a Cy Young type of year, someone will pay him more than $25 million to pitch for them. And I guess that's my point. Not
Yeah.
that people would talk to him, but that would be kind of a given. If Scherzer's getting 43 and a half, then yes, Justin Verlander is going to get offered 35. Now, if he has kind of a comeback year where he's maybe like, 14 and 12 or, 13 and 11 or something like that, and his strikeouts are up, he was able to get his innings up towards the end of the season, then the $25 million option may look like a deal for him. But that was me basically just speculating that he would get those offers.
So the threshold, the CBT is currently at 210, like we talked about it. Maybe it can go to 214. That'd be great. Maybe 220 by the end of the new agreement if they reach at it. But the union is asking for it to go all the way up to 245. You know why? Because they want their players to get more money.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but I don't think the owners would want to pay that much money. So the problem is if you give teams like the Yankees, and apparently the Astros are in that, because Jim Crane, if you would give him the ability to spend that money, Jim Crane would go above the. I mean,
Well, but
he would
it's
pay
like,
more. Yeah,
Larry said, there is no CBT now, and we won't know what that is until
yeah, I know.
after the agreement is over. So whatever was is gone, as
Yeah.
as I understand it, and
And
brings.
it could go down. What if it goes down to 86 or 186? The Astros are screwed. They are literally screwed.
And I don't
Michael
know.
Brantley, we're gonna have to trade you. Jake Odorizzi, we're gonna have to trade you.
Bregman and Altuve restructure your contracts. We'll give you a Bobby Bonilla deal. Okay, how's that? We'll pay you till you're 48.
I still think that works into the, or maybe no, maybe that would decrease the AAV. I don't know.
Oh,
So,
Larry makes a good point. He says the CBT should be tied into revenue growth. So wow, okay. So if now is that league wide or per team? If that's league wide revenue growth, here's the thing: in 2020 they lost money, right? 2021, I believe they probably gained. Maybe they didn't break even, but if baseball could make the sport more popular, if baseball could stop blacking out people from watching, like you get the MLB extra innings or whatever, I don't even know what it's called. You get the subscription, but like literally, if you're in certain parts of like Las Vegas or over there on the West Coast, you're blocked from like 4 or 5 teams. You can't see 4 or 5 teams games if you have the MLB extra innings package. So it's just a mess. It's a mess, and I think everybody saw it coming. I think players' salaries increasing the way they has a lot to do with this, Eric. And you got guys like Steve. See, here's the thing: Steve Cohen went out and spent like a drunken sailor, but at the same time, he's with all the other owners saying we don't want to spend that much money. Like the guy's literally spending money hand over fist, and he's with the other owners saying I don't want to spend more money on players. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's kind of like they're talking out of both sides of their mouth.
yeah. So it's just crazy. And so, guys, with that being said, we're gonna have 2 months of stuff to talk about. We don't want to talk about the lockout every day. So if y'all have some special requests for topics you want us to discuss during the off season, send it to us. You can tweet at Locked On Astros. You can tweet at Eric Talkstros. You can tweet at H-Town Wheelhouse. If you're on Facebook, we have a page. You can go to the Locked On Astros Nation. If you're on Instagram, what is it on Instagram?
I believe I thought it was just at Locked On Astros. Is it locked? Is it like underscore? It's funny. We don't even know our at. Live on the air. We don't know our Instagram at. Let me go check the gram as the kid would say.
I'm Eric.Huysman on Instagram.
Okay, so Locked On Astros is locked underscore on underscore Astros.
Yes.
And I'm just at H-Town Wheelhouse. Like you just type in H-Town Wheelhouse and you can find me everywhere, baby.
Yeah, so if y'all have some requests for us to do shows during the season, we'll go and talk about this because we will not and we cannot talk about Carlos Correa for the next 2 months. Where is he going? On the next edition of the Locked On Astros podcast, we will go crazy. You will go crazy. We're not going to do it. So we're going to do best of what? So just special requests, and we'll talk about that. So,
and hey, Eric, happy birthday, man. Happy birthday. It was Eric's birthday this last weekend. He turned 27. Congratulations, brother, on your 27th birthday. We're so happy. To be 27 again. He's a spring chicken, and I know he looks like an old goat. But you know what? We love you, Eric Huysman. Eric the Man Huysman. Happy birthday, brother.
All right. I'm actually much older, but thank you very much. So, guys, that's all we got for this edition of the Locked On Astros podcast. We'll talk more about what Lance McCullers had to say, and we'll more about what he had to say about Carlos Correa, and a little bit about more of the Astros as a whole. And we'll talk some more Astros, and hopefully this thing gets worked out. We'll talk about this and more on the next edition of the Locked On Astros podcast, which will start tomorrow if Brett can uncover his face. Go Stros.